not every day that a zookeeper went to prison for murder for hire.
There are more captive tigers in the U.S. than there are in the wild throughout the world.
Animal people are nuts, man. They're all crazy. I'm sure y'all got a story to tell.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Film Optics movie review. And today we will be reviewing Tiger King, the Netflix miniseries that came out about a week or two ago. I'm your host, Christian, and as always, joining me is one of my good friends and my co-host, Devin. How are you doing today, buddy?
Devin Exotic to you.
That's Devin Exotic to you? Well, it's Joe Exotic to you, mister. For me, I don't know. But yeah, man. So we're back at it again with this. Who knew we would be, reviewing something like this? But I don't know.
It's taking the world by storm.
It really is. It's all the internet can talk about. Everyone's tweeting about it. It's some crazy stuff. But before we begin today's review, everyone, you can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Google Music, Anchor, Podbean, iHeartRadio, just to name a few. So the way we'll do this, we're just going to talk about it. No, we're just going to get it all out in the air, talk about the elephant in the room, because since it's a mini series, there isn't much of a, non-spoiler section. I mean, we can give our first thoughts, but, this is pretty much just going to be a full.
The first episode gets right into it. So
yeah, it really does. My mom started watching it today, as I mentioned to you earlier. So she kept asking me about it, and I finally gave her the Netflix password. So yeah, I was like, you know what, go crazy. It's quarantine life for everyone right now. So she enjoys it so far.
I haven't found anyone who hasn't yet.
There's a few people at my work, actually. I asked them, hey, we mentioned this on the previous news show, but they weren't very keen to it. One of my coworkers, he's like, unfortunately, I watched the first episode. I was like, why do you have to say it like that? Just, I mean, if you watched it, just say, I watched the first episode. You don't have to. I don't know. I think it's really weird, but. I'm trying to get people to watch it at work. They're giving me their recommendations. I got to give them mine. So there's always that. But so let me read the synopsis here, and then we'll just dive right in. So the synopsis reads: an exploration of big cat breeding and its bizarre underworld, populated by eccentric characters. And
I don't think bizarre explains it enough.
Yeah, there's definitely it's definitely a few levels above bizarre, because I was watching Jeremy Johns, I believe Jeremy Johns on YouTube. He did his quick little review of the series, and he had said that it's pretty much a dumpster fire you can't help but watch.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah. Well, sorry, go ahead.
Couldn't stop watching. I watched it all in one night.
I did too. I watched it all last Saturday, so I thought that was pretty cool. And I like you said, episode 1, I was hooked. This did release on Netflix starting on March 20th. So and in the midst of all this pandemic, this is something I do, or we both actually, encourage people to watch. I mean, it's better than reality TV, but like, wow, let's just and. It's a docu-series / mini series, so I don't know, but I wanted to get your first thoughts about the show.
I will say it's probably the craziest documentary I've ever seen. I watch a fair amount of documentaries. I think Netflix has quite a bit of good ones, and this one, it's the top of the list. And it's literally like 5 documentaries put into one. Like all these different stories that could be their own documentary, like fit it all into this one somehow. All these sane people. I don't understand how they're all connected, but they are.
They're all connected through Carol
love of
Baskins.
tigers.
The love of tigers. Yes, and I definitely agree. There, as you said, there are so many, storylines within this mini series, and they're woven together so perfectly because this is like their own little industry, an industry that not many are familiar with, but it is just yeah. And I probably will be repeating myself a lot, but this is probably the craziest thing I've ever seen. I didn't know that Joe Exotic, I'm blanking on his actual his legal
Yeah,
last
he's got
name.
a lot of last names.
Yeah, he does.
Every husband he picks up, he gets a new last name.
Every husband he picks up, he gets a new last name. He particularly fancies the younger crowd, but they're not underaged. So I guess good for him. But I mean, we both watch the series, and it's like you try to it starts off with Joe Exotic, and then Joe Exotic has his arch nemesis, Carol Baskins, who was like probably one of the most frightening women I've ever like seen in my entire life. She just has this she kind of reminds me of like a little bit of Dolores Umbridge from Harry Potter. I'm not sure if you know who that is. I know you're not a big Harry Potter fan, but do you?
Is it the mom? I don't know.
No, not she's one of the new Defense Against the Dark art teachers in year 5 of Harry's time at Hogwarts, but she just has this really weird demeanor. You know what I mean? I mean, we both don't trust her. So
Yeah. It's crazy because in the beginning, it's like you kind of want to be on her side because it seems like she's doing the right things, but then
right.
start to unravel, and you're like, wait a minute, don't do that.
The entire time I was watching this movie or this series, excuse me, as I say, it starts off with Joe Exotic and then his arch nemesis, and you're like, okay, so they kind of paint Joe and like, oh, I haven't done anything wrong, I'm just trying to live my life and raise my 227 tigers in this zoo in the middle of what was it Oklahoma or Arkansas? I think it was Oklahoma. I've never been to Oklahoma and I've never been to Arkansas, but it doesn't look like I don't think I want to either. It doesn't look like they have a lot of things going for them out there, like at all. No, thank you. No, thank you whatsoever. But and you're going back and forth. They see that it's a small little feud between them because Joe's all about I like these are my tigers. I bought them. They're not dangerous. I have a special connection with them. And then Carol Baskins, who her organization is Big Cat Rescue, and she is all about the preservation of tigers and you know releasing them back into the wild and not having them in cages, even though she also has tigers in cages.
Yeah.
And you quickly find out that they're both just like, excuse my French, but they're both shitty people. They're both profit.
Pretty much everyone on the show is. There's a couple here and there that they seem pretty innocent, but for the most part, everyone's a pretty terrible person.
Yeah, I totally agree. It is just and it's crazy because the the producer of Joe Exotic's show, the guy who kind of first starts off the entire series, he
The Pinnacup
owns
of Joe.
yeah. And he eventually, as you're watching the series, you find out that he eventually owns Joe's show, and then Joe's pretty much Joe Exotic burns through so many bridges that it's just he even sucks his parents dry of all of their money, and it's just wow, like I can't even fathom. And then you have besides Carol and Joe, there's the other zookeeper. I believe his name is Bagavin Ansel.
Doc Antle is much easier to say. So
Doc Ansel, there we go. So he seems okay, kind of.
No.
I don't know.
No. He's
No?
running a sex cult.
Oh, he was the one running the sex. Okay, I thought
Yeah.
that was Joe. Okay, that's
No.
right. Doc Antle was, that's right. He was running the sex cult because
He
of
would
the,
basically hire these teenage, like 16 to 17-year-old girls and rope them into this weird tiger zoo thing and start like training them and then getting them to do stuff, and then they couldn't
that's right.
leave.
That's right. So it was a cult, even though he had, and I think I got a little mixed up when I was first watching that because I was like, wait, Joe, I thought Joe said he was gay instead of bi. But I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So, and that's pretty much what it bounces between Carol, Joe, and Doc Antle. And then eventually the new owner of Joe's zoo, who was, it wasn't John Finley, that was one of his husbands. Jeff Lowe. Jeff Lowe.
He's been getting some heat on Twitter.
Has he really?
Bad time to have that name.
Yeah. So the Jeff Lowe we are referring to is from Lights Camera Barstool with their movie podcast. Definitely check them out. They make some really good content. But yes, so the Jeff Lowe of the Tiger World, he seems like a decent guy, or I mean, kind of weird. I mean, obviously he's a bit pervy because he has the whole. He goes to Vegas, blows all this money, and everybody knows like he's a playboy. But and he's I don't even know how old he is, but his wife is like maybe like about to hit 30, maybe in her early 30s. But this dude's just like he's just like a pile of dirt essentially.
Terrible person, like everyone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah, and at first,
Towards the end, they were talking, and his wife was pregnant, and he was like, "Yeah, once the baby comes out, I'm gonna get you in the gym." And he's like,
yeah,
she wanted to get a nanny, but I told her I have to pick her out. Look at her. Like, oh,
yeah,
God.
that was like, oh, okay, like this guy's a shitty human being because when you have, you're having a child, and then I guess one of the reasons they wanted, they were looking for, like, I think they're looking at like a Latino babysitter towards the end of the series. When Jeff Lowe takes over all of everything Joe owns after Joe goes to prison. And and his wife's like, oh yeah, he's like, maybe we can have like somebody like, oh, like Hispanic so they could like teach the baby bilingual. I'm like, what like, no. that's not how. Okay, whatever. But anyway, yeah, I thought that was pretty crappy when, like, because he kind of pawns it off as like, oh, it's a joke, but like I think she thinks it's also a joke, but he's serious about the whole thing. I don't know. So, so another. I know we've been rambling here, or mainly I've been rambling
Also,
here
like
about.
that, they had that small part in the middle about the guy who was like literally what Tony Montana was based off of. He was like involved somehow. Like that could have been his own documentary too. Like that
Yeah,
crazy
that's
guy who
right.
like did all the drugs and murder, and was
Right.
also in Tigers. Like so much.
Yeah, all these people are into tigers, but not all of these people are into each other, especially Joe's first husband, John Finley, who, I believe that was Joe's first husband, right?
I think
I
so.
believe so. Because his first husband was John, and then he had a second husband who, quote unquote, he accidentally kills himself with
That was quite the twist.
that was insane. I'm like, oh my gosh, because there's so many people involved with this, and I love it how IMDb, they have all the names and the pictures, but the picture's just so small. The gentleman who was running his campaign, Joe Exotic's campaign during.
That guy, he was like a Walmart manager, and Joe was like, "Hey, you want to run my campaign?"
He's like, oh my god, it's my life's dream. Yes.
That guy was like, he seemed normal, but like also weird because you agreed to run this guy's campaign. Like, there's got to be something going on there. Why would you agree to that?
Yeah, like he was one of the very few that had like the least, like, I can't really say he had any blood on his hands. It was just out of all of the entire cast of people, you have some, I believe, the gentleman who had both of his legs missing from his kneecap down, he seemed pretty decent.
Yeah, him. The most of the like Tiger King, like most of his staff seemed pretty decent.
Mm.
There was that's the staff girl who had her
Arm
arm.
torn up. Yeah.
Also, the other guy, Eric, with the long blonde hair, he seemed pretty nice.
Mm. Yeah, this show really does just bring out the demons and out of everyone. It don't even get me started on Carol Baskin's missing husband because that has been wow. Like I mean,
The fact that in the will she put dead or missing, like
like
it's right there.
yeah, like why do you feel the need to put missing within the well, in case something happens?
And why does the
It's like,
will
oh,
get updated magically right before he disappears?
yeah, and that too. And she just like at first I was like, you know what? I feel really bad for this Carol Baskins lady. And then, but that changed like maybe 5-10 minutes later for me because it was just so like wow, like she's definitely profiting off of this. Everyone's like, oh yeah, she has deep pockets. And then, the obsession that Joe had with Carol was just insane.
Yeah, and then
Like
he kept taking it just too far with all the weird stuff he was doing with like that doll. And
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously he hates her, but like you're doing too
He
much
was
there.
obsessed with her
And then
to the
he
point.
made that music video with that chick that looked just like her. I don't know how he found her. How do you find that?
It's like I'm putting in an ad for someone with these exact facial structures or similar to. If you know anyone with these exact facial structures, please call Joe Exotics. But what was the name of it? It was GW Zoo. That was the name
Yeah.
of.
It was
Well,
it
what
was
did the
named after
GW?
like his brother who died
That's right.
earlier.
That's right. And then Big Cat Rescue. But then Joe
Hello,
started.
cats and kittens.
Hey, hello there, all you little cats and kittens. And oh my god,
He had like a
like,
YouTube channel and like Facebook everywhere. Like
and she was obsessed with leopard prints. It was too much. Like they went through her entire closet, and I was like, do you own anything that's not? Well, we did see her in things that aren't leopard print, and she's like, when I go to the airport, it's very easy to spot up my luggage. I'm like, all right, well, she's got that going for her.
good for you.
Not that many people out there with leopard printed carry-on cases and suitcases and what have you.
And they were like
But
showing how tiny the cages were in her little reserve. It's like, do you really care about these tigers in the first place?
yeah, man, I was, she kept saying it's like she was preaching something different, but it's like when you look at the evidence, it's like, I mean, if you're about these tigers, with their freedom and because why are you keeping them like in even smaller cages? Like, yeah, like a rescue place, yes, they would have, cages to contain these animals, but wouldn't you eventually like release them, you know, back to, where into the wild, like to
That's the crazy thing about all of this is like the tigers kind of take the back seat to the human.
mm,
Tigers are the ones that are paying for it because they're out of their
yeah.
habitat, and all these people make it about themselves, and then the tigers just kind of get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, because as we've seen, during the very beginning, it was all about the tigers, and when we get towards the end, when Joe just hits the fan, he like we said, he burns through all these people, burns all of his bridges,
Burns down his
even
own warehouse.
dude.
Probably.
Okay, I think okay, and he kept trying to blame it on his producer of his show, and he's like, "Why in the hell would I burn down my own studio with everything that we've ever recorded, all of his equipment, everything? Why would he do that? That makes absolutely no sense." Like,
Wanted control over his own stuff again.
yeah, because insurance money and what have you. So it's very it's shifty. And it's with even as the series progresses, we see the tigers during the beginning, they're playful, but like they're still tigers, man.
That
Like
one
these,
scene where Joe got attacked and he was like, get off me, you bitch.
yeah. And then he's like, he definitely killed some of his tigers, and
But
he's
yeah,
like, oh,
they all did.
yeah. And like, they found like tiger, skeletons like dug deep underneath the ground. And it's like he wasn't a very smart man at all.
And then when he's in
Like
prison, he has like those terrible bangs. That
he said,
that
he said they
quarantine
locked me in a
haircut.
cage.
The irony of
Huh?
him being in a cage after putting tigers in cages his whole life.
Right. But like even when GW Zoo, when I guess you can say when it was at its peak, when it eventually starts to decline, it's just the tigers are just like they're so it just reminded me of like, oh, someone's just like running, like has horses or sheep or cows, and you would think that like it's, I don't know, like a lot of the pictures, they're saying, oh, everybody wants to take a picture with the baby tiger. Yeah, that'd be cool when they're a baby, but like there is no way in hell I'm going in that cage. Like that one lady got her arm ripped completely off, and she stayed.
And she went back a week later.
Yeah, she was like, it's just another day. I'm like, what do you mean another day? What?
And then I think they were all getting paid like $100 a week. Like
That's
basically
awful.
nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
And they live in like
what
these terrible trailers. They have to share expired Walmart meat as their only food source. It's
that was
all
terrible.
so bad.
It's so bad. And it's like,
And that's
at
why
first,
he goes after these people that have nowhere else to go. Like they're all mostly drug addicts and are just desperate to find anything. So he just finds them and just leeches onto them because it's basically free labor.
that's what happened with John Findlay, his first husband. John wasn't even gay.
Neither was the other one.
Was it the second one or the one
The
second one?
Travis.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
They
like
both
I
were
mean,
straight, and he's just like, "Hey, come here. I have money." And
he's like, I have money, I have drugs. You wanna? They were like, yeah, sure. Like they didn't think anything of it. But John Findlay, he ended up marrying one of the other coworkers. He has a nice new set of teeth.
Yes.
If anyone hasn't seen,
that was one of my favorite parts when they were talking about how meth causes meth mouth, and then they pan the camera to his face. That was so funny.
That was really funny. But yeah, it does. It goes straight to your teeth, man. It's no lie. Whatever it is, it just sinks right in there.
There's a lot of that going around on this show.
Yeah. And I just I don't know, man. There's just so
we
much.
Talked about Howard Baskin yet. That fucking loser.
I feel so bad.
Those wedding pictures he was like dressed as a tiger and she had him on a leash. Like, fuck you, guy.
No, I just
and
no one would ever sign up for that at all.
Like being a lawyer basically for her.
Yeah, pretty like a lot of people say that a lot of these marriages are it's just a economic proposition. And I mean that's like literally what it feels like. So I'll give you like a kiss here or there for the cameras. But it's like, what is their home life really like? Because where is Carol Baskins?
She's living her best life right now.
I would like to talk to her.
And her investigation has been reopened, so hopefully
it has been reopened.
Find something out.
Exactly. But not even that. It's just the whole like when like Joe puts a hit on her and like he's like, oh, I didn't do that. I'm like, yes, you did. Jeff Lowe saw you. And like as much as I didn't like
creepy handyman that he hired to do it looked like a serial killer already. And he had like a teardrop tattoo. So the
guy looked like Creed.
He does look just like Creed.
He looked like girls. Look just like Creed Bratton. But like I love it how we'll call him Creed, but he literally just he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm gonna give you, he's like, I promise you 5,000. He only gives him 3,000. And he's like, all right, bet. He takes it, and then he's just like
goes to Florida or something. Just
he was like, nah. He was like, I'm not doing this. But like at least I'm happy he had at least the sense not to do anything. about it at all. 'Cause- actually, really quick, when I'm looking through this IMDb list, Barbara Fisher, who is part of Doc's like cult, they have her underneath as Doc's apprentice.
Yeah, that's what he called them. That was like one of the creepy parts. He called them apprentices.
What is this, Star Wars? Come on, man. Like, what is your Entourage? Like, Entourage. But I this whole show is just
And then there's that
like,
the other guy who became like the FBI informant with the long blonde hair, and he
oh,
was just on the jet ski at the end. That weird scene that became a great meme.
I thought that
He just doesn't give a hell.
he doesn't care at all. Like, I thought that was like the end. And then it kind of like, goes on a little bit longer. But I think when my mom started it, she accidentally logs into my profile. And since I already finished it, she watched episode 7 before anything else. She's like, this is boring. She's like, he's in jail. I'm like, wait, did you already finish it? She's like, no. I'm like, oh, you're on my profile. You got to go to yours, start back from the beginning. She's like, all right. So she's like, yeah, this is much more entertaining.
I will say that the last like 1 or 2 episodes were a little slower than the first. Ones were. But
yeah, they were.
Like the first ones they have to be that way in order to rope you in, and they
yeah, and I viewed it as this huge flame that is started, and then it eventually dwindles to like a small flame and kind of just burns out, almost to like a simmer, but like the simmer is still there,
and
because
it leaves room for more.
Yeah, because they got Joe, and then Joe's like, well, what about everyone else? He's like, if I'm going down, you're going down with me. And then the FBI investigation, they're like, well, this is far from over, like completely. So like everyone that we talked to, from Jeff Lowe to, I guess you could say, not Tim Stark, but I don't even know if John Finley would be, or one of Joe's husbands, because John Finley, and then you had his second husband who accidentally killed himself. That was very, very crazy. Like, I was wow. He was
It starts off so innocent. It's like, okay, there's these people who like tigers. We'll see where this goes, and then murder starts to become a thing. Accidental suicides, all these drugs. It just
arms
gets so
ripped
crazy.
off.
Joe Exotic.
My name's Joe Exotic, and welcome to GW Zoo. But I got to give it to him. He got 20% of votes during this past election.
He got 20% of the independent votes. So
okay. Okay.
Not a lot.
I was gonna say, holy crap. But like, he thought he was going to win, and he's like, oh my god, what if we win? And then like, he was just so into himself. His ego was so huge, and just, it was enormous. And then like the smallest thing would just bug him. Like, he was so into himself, and just like, it was crazy. Like, he took it like so hard after he lost the election, and he's like, well, I refuse to put on a suit. And I was like, well, I mean, I get what you're saying, like, be as you are, but if you're trying to, get them numbers, get them digits, get them votes, you got to put on the monkey suit.
Especially in a place like Oklahoma.
Exactly. Like, you walk around Oklahoma, oh man, I can't get into it. I'm sorry. I don't want to say anything too off the rails, so I'll just leave it at that. But was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
I think we should do some fan casting for the possible TV show / movie. They already started. Kate McKinnon has been cast as Carol Baskin. I think that's a pretty good fit.
I think so. Or just cast Hillary Clinton.
Oh boy.
Because it reminds me of Hillary Clinton and Trump all over again. It's like, I don't trust anyone on this show anymore. Everyone's like, well, I tried. What was that? Sorry, there was like some big rumbling outside my house. Um, it's like, well, I tried to do this, and so and so wouldn't listen to me. But then when Jeff Lowe like blew up at Joe, I was like, holy crap! Like I was like, all right, that's fair enough. Why wouldn't you? But so yeah, let's get into castings. I know I've said before on our previous news show that I think Brad Pitt should play Joe Exotic. I
That's
don't know
just so
why.
weird.
Or Rainn Wilson. I
Rainn
think
Wilson
Rainn
would be
Wilson,
good.
he would be
I
fantastic.
think
What
I think
what
David Spade would be good, but he kind of already thinks that he said Woody Harrelson should do it. I could
Oh
also see
yeah.
that.
Hmm.
There's a lot of options because I'm sure it would be a fun role to play for these
Oh,
actors.
it would, but it's like I would be so afraid to like, not go like you have to find that happy medium, you know what I mean? Where you're portraying someone, but you don't want to be offensive, even
Yeah,
though granted, everything that he's done, it's this is this GW zoo that Joe had built. It's very it was special to him. And they even say during the very towards the end of the miniseries that, at some point during the beginning, they did truly believe that Joe's heart was in the right place. And even with Carol Baskins, I'm sure, you know, she changed as well because she was going after Joe. She's like, I want everything from your zoo. And then Joe's like, all right, if you want it, I'm just going to destroy everything. So you just can't have it. And I was like, That's pretty childish, but okay. Okay.
yeah.
Like it was just like two like 6-year-olds are just like having this big feud, and it starts off small, like few like little nicks and punches here and there, and then it would turns and it turned into this like unadulterated like toxic relationship between two people who like never even met face to face. I don't know. Or
Crazy.
I don't know, man. But anyway, it was so for
I
Carol
think
Baskin.
I think Doc Antle. I saw someone on Twitter say Will Ferrell would be a good Doc Antle, and
Yeah,
that's all I can see now. He would pull it off so well.
I can see it for sure.
Give him a
I
goatee.
the goatee. I feel so bad for Barbara Fisher. Well, she was only in one episode, but she told the whole tale. She said she wanted breast implants. I think did she get them, or was it just talks of it? Because she was kind of, young, the what young person doesn't want to make easy money? And it's like, yeah, like I'll do anything, like within reason, but or like they're too afraid to say no and they kind of just go along with it. So kind of how Doc's apprentices
Apprentice is so creepy.
it's just yeah, very creepy. What like this isn't Star Wars. This
You're just grooming these young children, basically.
yeah, you're just grooming them for your own pleasure, and that's not a good look at all. But um the hunt continues for Carol Baskin's father. I mean, not father, husband. The dude it's like he just vanishes off. I'm sorry. I'm I'm rambling right now. But anyone else you would think would make for a good casting?
Obviously, Creed as the kill for hire guy.
Just get everyone from The Office and put them in multiple
I
roles.
think.
I
Do you know Clark Duke? He was in The Office as like one of the new guys.
oh
The
was
one with
he
the
was
glasses.
yeah, oh yeah, he was also in Greek, and I love that show.
I think he
He
could play the campaign manager. They look pretty
yeah.
similar.
Yeah, he had that relationship with Jan in The Office. Yeah, kind of the nerdier looking
Yeah.
Dwight. Yeah, he I love him so much. Like anything that he's in, he nails it. He absolutely nails it. I absolutely love it. But I he could play the campaign manager. That's a good one.
I'm
That
trying to
is a
figure
good
out
one.
Jeff Lowe. I think Woody Harrelson could do a good Jeff Lowe too.
I think he could. I definitely think he could. Someone had said that. Oh my god! Someone said something about. Um. Oh man, Was it Edward Norton? We kind of talked about
Yeah,
that,
Edward Norton
right?
said he
Yeah.
wanted to play Joe Exotic, and Dax
I don't,
Shepard did.
I don't see it for any of them.
It might be a hot Hollywood role. Who knows? A lot of
I
people
just
want
want,
it.
like, when this gets made, I want this cast to be just stacked to the brim and just have fun with it. Don't try to, I mean, yeah, accuracy is important, but don't try to force it. Just I like, as much as like this is a dumpster fire like miniseries, it is good because I mean, there's a lot of things that you didn't know, and even with like when they are talking about tigers, there's a few things here or there that you kind of learn about them, and their playful ages versus just, I don't know, man. I would just would you help run one of these? Like, if it was better regulated, because that big cat act that they talked about, still hasn't passed at all.
I wouldn't want to work anywhere near these people.
What about the Tigers? It's like,
Yeah,
I'd rather be stuck with the Tigers than these people.
pretty
it's a
much.
quick it's a quick clean death. Just get it over with. But did you want to get into scores?
I haven't even thought about score, but yeah.
All right. So I guess, yeah, out of 100, what would you give the Netflix miniseries Tiger King?
89.
I'm giving it an 89. Well, I'll take your 89 and I'll raise it by 1, and I'll give it a 90 out of 100 because I liked it. It's crabby as it is. I mean, my
Gave us
head was
something
like,
to talk about.
yeah, it gave us something to talk about. My head was like throbbing at the very, very end because there was just, number one, I watched all of it like you in pretty much one sitting throughout the day. I watched about maybe, well, because I didn't know how many episodes it was. I kind of just started and I was like, okay, I started the first two and then I did another two, and then I think I just finished off with like the last three throughout the day because I was doing other things around the house. But yeah, like I just had to like soak it in. And I was just thinking about all this craziness. They're taking pictures of like these essential like super infant tigers who clearly have been taken from their mother just way, way too young or too early, I should say. But yeah, so 89 from you and a 98 from, I mean, excuse me, a 90 from me.
98.
Wow. I mean, it's a pretty good documentary. Like I was never bored. I can honestly say that. But
I really wish there was more.
I wish there was too, and hopefully there will be for Joe Exotic's name to be known across the land. So I believe that does it for our Tiger King miniseries review or docuseries, however you want to put it. But again, everyone, thank you for tuning in and listening to our thoughts and opinions. I know I like to ramble a lot, but I've been trying to control that a little bit. But again, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Google Music, Anchor, Podbean, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn. And I believe go ahead and check out our latest news show. We're talking about everything, film, TV, pop culture, gaming related. So I thought it was a pretty good show. We had a lot of had a lot of talk about. So I was surprised we had a lot to talk about given the circumstances as well. But we don't necessarily have anything planned to review next week. We got to figure out something to review. So we'll let you know when we do, because I have no clue unless you want to watch Coffee and Creed.
Oh no.
God, come on. I haven't even tried to put it on. I do know, we'll probably do a Rick and Morty season 4 review. You actually need to catch up on some Star Wars because there's only a few Clone War episodes left. So, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But again, Devin, as always, thank you for coming on and reviewing these movies. And let us know your comments, questions, and concerns if you're listening to this on YouTube, or tweet at us, excuse me, at Film Optics on Twitter. Optics is spelled OPTIX. You can also follow us on Instagram. And I know I said this before in our previous news episode, but I've begun to take on a little more of a side hobby, which I've kind of delved into it before, but I'll be streaming on Twitch a few games here and there. I think I'm streaming Doom Eternal right now, not like right now, but that's streaming. We'll pretty much just be streaming throughout the weekends, maybe throughout the week. I'll definitely pretty much just tweet about it beforehand. So there's that. And anything else you wanted to say, Devin, to our lovely viewers practicing social distancing?
Stay exotic.
Stay exotic. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.